Gentlemen, let's begin with something uncomfortable, but honest. At some point in your life, maybe late at night, maybe after scrolling online, maybe after a relationship ended, you've probably compared yourself to an image that was never meant to represent reality. A number. A measurement. A standard you didn't choose, yet somehow felt judged by. And what makes it worse is that no one ever sits men down and explains the truth calmly, scientifically, and without shame. So tonight, let's talk like adults. Not like the internet. Not like movies. Not like locker room jokes. But like men who want clarity instead of confusion. As a urologist, I can tell you this with certainty. The anxiety men carry about size is one of the most unnecessary burdens in modern men's health. It drains confidence, damages relationships, and distracts men from what actually matters. And the tragedy is that it's built on misinformation. The first thing we need to understand is how deeply distorted the modern perception has become. Entertainment media doesn't reflect real life. It reflects extremes because extremes grab attention. But biology doesn't work on attention. It works on compatibility. The human body evolved for function, comfort, and connection, not spectacle. When scientists study attraction and satisfaction, they don't rely on fantasy. They study real people, real relationships, real physiology. And across cultures, age groups, and long-term studies, one finding appears again and again. Most women prefer something close to average. Not small, not large, balanced. From a medical perspective, this makes perfect sense. Human anatomy is sensitive. Nerves, muscles, and tissues respond best under conditions of comfort and safety. When something causes discomfort, the nervous system reacts by tightening, reducing sensation and pleasure. This isn't a choice, it's biology. Here's something most men never hear. Relaxation increases sensitivity. Anxiety reduces it. This applies to both men and women. When a woman feels safe, relaxed, and emotionally connected, her nervous system allows greater sensation. When she feels anxious or pressured, sensation drops. No physical measurement can override that neurological reality. Now let's look at the male side. Men who obsess over size often unknowingly activate their stress response during intimacy. The mind becomes self-monitoring instead of present. Blood flow shifts away from where it's needed. Endurance drops. Control weakens. Confidence disappears. Urologists see this constantly, not because men are physically inadequate, but because they are mentally distracted. In other words, worry becomes the problem. Another critical point science reveals is that women don't experience attraction the way men often assume. Male attraction is visually driven and measurement-focused. Female attraction is context-driven. Mood, trust, emotional presence, and attentiveness strongly influence physical experience. This is not opinion. It's supported by neurological research. This is why long-term satisfaction has almost nothing to do with extremes. In fact, extremes often create challenges over time. What seems impressive in theory can become uncomfortable, impractical, or emotionally distancing in reality. This is why studies consistently show that long-term partners report higher satisfaction with balance, not novelty. Let me share a simplified real-world example from clinical experience. A man in his early 50s once came in convinced something was wrong with him. Medically, everything was normal. His concern came entirely from comparison. Online images, comments, unrealistic portrayals. Over time, that comparison eroded his confidence. His relationships suffered, not because of his body, but because of his self-doubt. Once he understood the science and stopped measuring himself against fiction, his anxiety eased. His confidence returned. Nothing physical changed, but everything else did. This is where men often misunderstand masculinity. Masculinity is not dominance. It's steadiness. It's not measurement. It's presence. It's not comparison. It's self-respect. Women consistently report that confidence without arrogance is attractive. Confidence comes from self-acceptance, not from meeting some imaginary standard. A man who is comfortable in his body sends a powerful signal of safety and reliability. A man who is insecure, regardless of anatomy, sends the opposite. Health matters far more than size ever will. Cardiovascular fitness, hormone balance, sleep quality, stress control. These determine performance, endurance, and confidence. A man who takes care of his body will always outperform a man who relies on ego alone. Here's the quiet truth science reveals. Most men are already enough. They just don't know it. The damage comes from believing otherwise. So when people ask, how many inches do women actually want? The scientific answer is simple and deeply reassuring. Most women want comfort, compatibility, confidence, and emotional presence. And the majority of men fall well within the physical range that supports all of those things. The real work for men is not changing their bodies. It's changing the narrative they were handed without consent. Once that narrative changes, anxiety fades, confidence grows, connection deepens, and satisfaction follows naturally. If you're still watching, comment "understood" below. Because the strongest men are not the ones chasing unrealistic standards, but the ones grounded in reality.